Hello, Editing Ann here. So I recorded this video like literally a year ago. So some of the stuff in this video might not apply anymore. I'm gonna make a video updating you guys on my life and what's been going on and what I'm doing now. So sit tight for that, but right now I just wanted to get a video out because it's been like a year since I've uploaded. So yeah, enjoy. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ann and I do videos on all things writing and reading. So for today's video, like I mentioned in the last video, I wanted to do a video. Why am I out of breath? I'm out of breath from sitting and talking. That's crazy. I wanted to do a video talking about my book, but I felt like if I just gave like a synopsis, that would be like a 10-second video, but I also didn't want to say too much about it and basically just give away the whole plot. So I figured a good way to talk about this and about any of my other books, if people are interested, is to do a little Q&A video of sorts. So I got a bunch of people on my Instagram, which by the way, if you're not following, you should definitely follow, I'm just saying. I got a bunch of people from my Instagram to ask me some questions about my book and I'm gonna be answering them today. So I wrote them down and, I tried to murder... What? What? Okay, I attempted to say order and murder came out. Anyway, I tried to order them, but cannot promise the order will make sense. So, okay, first things first is how many books are you currently working on? So I'm currently working on 4 projects. The first is Project Teacot, obviously. The second is Project Supernova, which is the sequel to Teacot. The third is one called Project Divided, and then the fourth, I don't have a project name for it because it's very bare bones development. I won't say too much about Project Divided because that's definitely still in development. In fact, I felt like when I was writing it, it felt a lot similar. It felt too similar to Teacot, so I might have to make a couple changes there, but yeah. When did you start Project Teacot? I started this project in 2021, actually. And I know you're probably thinking, aren't you editing the first draft? And you know what? Yeah, I am. Don't ask why it's taken me almost 4 years. I don't know. I really don't know. Thank the fact that I started writing it with no plan or idea for what I was going to do at all. So, yeah, 4 years. Next question, a little synopsis. Yes, I swear. Okay, so every time I talk about my writing, there's always someone who's asking, in public, what's your book about? And I just have to be like, okay, well, there's this girl and a curse and then the end. So I did come up with a little synopsis. I used the Save the Cat book to help me. Obviously it's not a perfect synopsis. It doesn't really take into account one of the other main characters, but it gives a good idea for how it is. So basically, after the death of the king, Leora Rosewood, who is the princess and heir to the throne, has to basically pick up the pieces of her broken family while also juggling with the fact that she has newly discovered magic that had been kept hidden from her. But then when the queen dies and a deadly curse is unleashed upon the land by this ex-queen who is hellbent on reclaiming her throne, Leora then finds herself on a dangerous mission to find the one object that can fix all her problems. However, she soon realizes that the road to triumph has a lot more twists and turns that she'd once expected, and she finds herself questioning those closest to her, including herself. Now she's crushed under the pressure of saving her kingdom, and Leora must let go of the past to find out who she really is before the curse and the ex-queen swallow her whole. That's basically what happens. I mean, Jiro is a very important character and it wasn't really mentioned in the synopsis, but you know what? At least I have an answer when someone asks me, hey, what's your book about? And I don't just stand there awkwardly. So another question, age rating and content warnings. So like I've said before, this book has no spice, but it does have passionate kissing bordering on making out. So if you're not comfortable with that, maybe skip out. For any content warnings, I'd definitely say violence, especially in book 2. There's also harassment of the female main character, and so I'd say the age rating is probably 13 or 14 plus, I'd say. Okay, trilogy or duology. So for now, it's just a duology. In fact, originally when I was writing it, I only had it being just one book. It wasn't a series, but then as I was writing, I was like, wait, hold up. I could make this into another book. So I did. And honestly, I'm really glad because the second book is extremely interesting. Okay, how many POVs? So there are 4 POVs. There's basically one for each main character. The 2 characters who get the most POVs are Leora and Jiro. In fact, as of now, Xena and Wilder both only get 1 POV. but that might change. I don't know. Third or first person? It is third person POV. When I first started writing it, it was originally first person present tense. So you're probably like, how did you get from first person present to third person past? And I just kind of realized that I needed way more than one POV for this book to make any sense at all. So yeah, now it's third person. Next question, comp titles. So as I was thinking about this question, I was just kind of sitting there being like, I really can't think of that many books to compare my book to. And that's not to be like, I'm so original. My book is literally so unique. Like, I'm sure there are definitely books out there that are probably exactly like mine. And I definitely feel like the concept of like characters traveling to do something to fix a problem has definitely been done hundreds of thousands of times before, but I can't really put my finger on like a specific book that it's similar to. The best I could come up with is it's a little bit like Shadow and Bone. I only read the first book, so I think it's at least a little bit similar to the first book of Shadow and Bone, and then also Wistress by Nadine Brandeis, but I just can't really put my finger on that many books to compare to, and that might just be because I haven't read that many books. Okay, I have this gigantic bookshelf behind me, guaranteed half the books I've not read. So next question, what inspired your work in progress? Is it a whip or what inspired your project? So for Project Teacot, okay, it's been so long since I've started writing it, 4 years, that I kind of just forgot at this point why I kind of started writing it. I actually thought that Teacot was my first ever project, like first ever big writing project, but apparently it wasn't, because I found a notebook and like looking at my old Instagram posts, I had another project before this one called The Dragon's Promise. Really great name, I know. And I had no idea that was my first ever like project, because I could have sworn Teacot came before that, but I guess not. But I kind of just like had been wanting to write, like ever since I was little. I've been wanting to publish a book. When I became like a teenager, I just kind of was like, okay, for my younger self, I need to write a book and it needs to get published, because that was my younger self's dream, basically. So I didn't really start writing because I saw like a movie or read a book and was like, this is so amazing, I have to write a book. I basically just did it for my younger self. Kind of a boring answer, I know. Next question, do you plan out central themes or just go with what flows? So I'm kind of a mix of both. I use the Save the Cat, which I've talked about this so many times. I just love Save the Cat. I use the one specifically for novel writers, the Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It's such a great guide. If you don't know how to begin your book, you're like so overwhelmed, like how am I supposed to outline an entire book? That book is so helpful. You definitely need to pick it up, or at least like look at the beat sheet. Yeah, originally when I started writing Teacot, I didn't have any kind of outline. I just started writing. I just kind of knew the general idea of what was going to happen and just filled in the blanks. Don't do that. Like I said in the last video that I made, it really hurt the project, and that's why it's taken so long to finish it. So don't do that. But I kind of just do a mix of both, plotting and pantsing. I do planting. So yeah, I talk about it more in my last video, but I do plan out like themes and like the plot. But if I want to add something, then I'm going to add it. I'm not going to worry about if it's in the outline or not. So favorite character. Okay, my favorite character is definitely Jiro. He is so fun to write. He's so fun to just put through the worst situations imaginable, all for the plot. It's just so fun. Yeah, all jokes aside, he's just a really good character. I've had a really fun time like researching and thinking of his backstory and writing his arc. I think you guys are all gonna like him. He's a great character. Honorary mention is Wilder. He's just such a good wholesome character, because I feel like in a lot of books, and no shade at all, but I feel like in most like YA books, if a female character has if she has two friends that are guys, it's like an immediate love triangle. Like the woman and the man can never just be friends in a book. There's no friendships. They have to be together. They have to be together. And if this, other male character can't get with the main character, he's going to get with the side character. And I just really wanted to write a book that had genuine male and female friendships where there's no love triangle, there's no ulterior motive that the man has, just a genuine friendship. Wilder's just so untoxic, and I just honestly really love him. So yeah, honorary mention for Wilder. Next question is tropes. So I don't really have a ton of specific tropes, because I just kind of started writing my book and I like sprinkled in some tropes as I went along, but I wasn't like writing my book with the idea of like specific tropes I was gonna add. But a few for the first book would definitely be grumpy ex-sunshine, forced proximity, found family. I don't know if betrayal counts as a trope. It's in there. And for the sequel, it's definitely enemies to lovers, lots of forced proximity. I don't know if villain gets the girl is really, there's definitely a better name for that, but that's what's in the book. Not like there's not a ton of tropes. Like, it's not like, you know, a lot of other books on the market. I just didn't really think of that when I was writing it, honestly. When do you think you'll be finished with your book and publishing? Okay, people ask me this question so much, and the worst part is having to break to them that probably not anytime soon. So in terms of drafting, I'm hoping to be done with drafting by the end of next year. That may be an ambitious statement, considering I'm definitely going to need to get like beta readers and stuff. Hopefully I'll at least be close to finishing drafting by the end of next year, if I can't totally finish it. In terms of publishing, I have no clue, because I'm trying to traditionally publish and I have literally no clue how long that could take, because it's not something that's very black and white. You know, I could immediately get picked up by a publisher, or, you know, it could take me months and months and even like years to get picked up by a publisher. So I legitimately have no clue. I don't plan on indie publishing. I'm not totally against it, but I am not made of money. I don't just have $5,000 lying around. So I prefer to traditionally publish, but if it doesn't work out, then I'm okay with, you know, indie publishing if I get the money for that. So last question is author career goals. So this was kind of an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about this, but I'd basically just say my career goals are basically just to like write all the books I want to write and get them all published. And maybe this is a little silly, but, you know, I'd love to walk into a Barnes & Noble and see my book. So yeah, that was all the questions that I have. And if you have any more questions, you can definitely go on my Instagram. I think I've answered a lot of questions on there. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing more videos like based on my projects. So you'll see those. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!